If you're having a bad day in fish keeping, then I made this video just for you. I'm going to tell you 2 really annoying things that happened to me in the last week that just derailed all of my plans and made me kind of depressed about fish keeping in general. I'm sharing these with you because I don't want to hide these things and just show you all the good things. I'm going to show you the bad things too, because I think everybody has bad days in fish keeping, and I would love to hear your stories. I want to know what your worst day in fish keeping was so that I can feel better about my bad days in fish keeping. Also to maybe help other people that might watch this video and want to hear other stories and things that happened to them. So let me show you a couple things that happened recently that were not very fun. And then I also want to give you some good things at the end that are coming so that it's not all doom and gloom and you have something to look forward to. So let's go check that out. Everything started with this aquarium right here. This is a 75-gallon aquarium that has some fish in it that I am hoping to add to a 6-foot tank that will sit right in this spot. And eventually I will have a lot of different kinds of fish in there. And I wanted to add some Cupid cichlids to this aquarium, but I couldn't find any. Huge shout out to Scott, who's somebody who watches my videos who lives not too far from me, who reached out to me and told me that they had some for sale at a store that's about an hour and a half from my house. So last Friday, I drove about an hour and a half to an awesome store that I think one day I'm going to do a video on because it was incredible. And I got some Cupid cichlids, and I also got these angelfish. These are wild-caught angelfish that they had for sale there, and they are absolutely incredible. And when I saw them, I knew that they would fit perfectly in the tank that I wanted to put right here. And it looks like the true parrot is getting used to them as well. The Cupid cichlids are not in here just because they are small enough to fit into the true parrot's mouth. So I bought these fish, and I came home. When I got home, this aquarium right here, which I just recently did a video on, my 125 gallon, was completely infested with ick. Now, I am actually still not 100% sure where the ick came from because I haven't bought fish in over 2 months. And so I was so confused. I hadn't brought in any new fish with the exception of this true parrot, which was a local person that was giving it up. But even he had been here for a month. So I'm still scratching my head over the mystery of how ick ended up here. I have read in the past that it can lie dormant, and I never believed it. The only thing I can think of is that I know that the person who gave me this true parrot told me that a few months before I got him, he had been dealing with ick, but he had told me that he treated it. So I don't know if maybe it just had one little spot, and for whatever reason it was keeping the ick at bay, and so everything was okay, and maybe it was just in there, because that's the other thing, is that I also had this true parrot with these orange fin hill trouts right here. And so he was with them, and right before I got these angels, I moved the orange fin hill trouts over here. And so it's possible that maybe it was dormant on him and maybe it was dormant on them and they brought it over. I have no idea. But when a 125 gallon is full of fish covered with spots, that is a really bad day. And I'm making this video 5 days into treatment. And so they actually don't look too bad today, but just trust me, they didn't look great yesterday even. This Salvini is probably the only one that is still looking pretty bad. The other one that was really bad is my Green Terror, was just covered. His entire body was covered with it. And the Severum's fins are pretty ripped up. I treated it with ICX and salt, and I turned the temperature up a little bit. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I have treated ick a few times from fish that I usually get in shipments. And I had one other occasion where I was dumb and I cross-contaminated a tank and I had to spend a week treating a 180-gallon aquarium. And that wasn't fun. And that is why my fish go through a rigorous quarantine, usually 6 weeks, which is why I'm so surprised by this, because even though the true parrot was only 1 month between adding the orange fin hill trouts over to that other aquarium, it still seemed like enough because he wasn't showing any signs of anything. So I'm pretty sure that this is the source and the origin. I ended up actually treating both tanks. Unfortunately, I didn't discover this until I was walking in with all my brand new fish, and it wasn't actually until after I had added these angels to this tank. So I have these wild-caught angels that I just added to a tank that possibly is the origin of a massive ick infestation. And then, of course, I'm walking around looking at all my other aquariums, wondering how many of them are infested with ick and thinking this is going to be a really bad week. Up until now, this is the only spot that I have found that has it. So I think I'm in the clear as far as the ick infestation, but still not a fun day. But there was one other really terrible thing that happened that I want to show you. So for this, we're going to start with this aquarium. This is a 14-gallon cube, and up until recently, it was the probably fourth home of my zebra acaras. Now, this tank isn't quite big enough for zebra acaras. However, I have been trying for a long time now to get them to breed, and I've only ever gotten them to lay eggs, and I've tried a number of different setups. And so I put them in here to try a dark water setup to see if I did something that was pretty close to their home. In fact, you see the glass, the evaporative loss of water there. That's actually on purpose. I was trying to let the water evaporate out, and then you put RODI water in. Anyway, it was just something I was trying to see if it would work. But they, after a while, didn't seem like they were getting along too well in here, and I just didn't feel comfortable having them in such a small space, and I felt like they needed some more space. And they weren't breeding, and it had been a couple months, and even though most of the time things seemed to be going well, sometimes one would hide. And so I decided enough is enough. I don't want to torture these guys anymore. I'm just going to give them a break, and I'm going to move them to a different tank. And so I put my zebra cars in this aquarium here, which is a 75-gallon, and it also happens to be a dark water tank. So I put them in here, and they were doing fine for a couple days. They seemed a lot happier. They were moving around pretty well. And then one day I come downstairs, and there is a dead one on the bottom of the aquarium. And everybody knows that feeling when you see the dead fish, and it's just gut-wrenching, especially for a fish like that is not very easy to find and not cheap. And also, I had been raising them for over a year and just trying to get them to breed. It was just devastating. There's still one in this tank. It's kind of hiding a little bit, but unfortunately, I no longer have a mated pair. So after a year of moving them to different setups and trying to get them to breed, unfortunately, one of them just unexpectedly died, and I have no idea why it died. There was no damage on its body, nothing that I could find. It just died. So I don't know. I'm at a loss. Obviously, the tank seems to be doing fine. All the other fish seem to be doing fine, and there aren't very aggressive fish in here. There's some angels that are smaller than the zebra cars were, but it's gone, and that really hurts, and I'm kind of upset about that and just a little bit sad. So those are my two biggest bad days in fish keeping in the last week. I hope you guys are having a better time. I do want to end on a positive note, because why end on a negative note? So let me show you my latest idea and what I'm going to do for my next build out in my fish room. So I've already mentioned in other videos that I'm planning on tearing these tanks out and replacing them with a 6-foot on top and a 5-foot on bottom. There they are right there. There's the 5-foot and there's the 6-foot. So as I was preparing to do this, I brought these tanks down here. The next thing to bring down was the stand, but when I set this tank down right here, I had a wonderful, terrible, awful idea. I brought my wife downstairs and begged her to talk me out of it. She did not succeed, and so we're doing this. Let me tell you what my idea was. Why tear down perfectly good tanks? They're running, right? They're doing great. They're established. They've got fish in them. Although I am going to be moving these fish no matter what and doing something different here. And I still want to tear these 10s out because I don't really love them that much. But my idea was, look at that tank. There's space there. I can't open the door, but I could take that door off and put a curtain up so that you can't see all the mess behind it. And I could leave this tank right here, or better yet, stack it on top of that one. It sticks out just a little bit into my walkway, but then again, I have another stand over there that does the same thing. And so I have decided to just set up another rack right here. I have this vision in my head of being able to walk down here and have tanks on both sides. And I think it's going to look great. It might be a little cramped, but in my head, worst case scenario, I change my mind in 6 months. I tear these down. I move this over, I go back to my original plan. But for the time being, I absolutely love this idea. This will still be a peacock tank. This will still be a Tanganyikan tank. Everything's going to stay the same as far as the setups, except for these ones over here. I am going to change the fish around. But this just gives me more tanks. And why would I not want more tanks? Yeah, I know, I have a problem. Could somebody leave a phone number down in the comment section for me to call? There's got to be a phone number for this. Maybe you have a problem too, and that's why you're here, but I enjoy every minute of my insanity. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Wishlist out.